I'm Mounia Hammadi, and today I would like to talk about art, and not the stereotypical idea of art where you walk into a room in a museum and you see a string going from one side of the room to another. Believe me, I've seen it. No, I would like to talk about Oxford's definition of art, which is works produced by human skill and imagination. This definition can relate to STEM, like human skill. But lately, there has been a problem. There is a constant separation between the arts and the fields in STEM. But mind you, it's great that we've been advocating for more STEM and making people pursue it more, especially with the minorities. Fun fact, women's participation within the STEM fields has increased, steadily increasing, since the 1970s. But that's besides the point. My point is that as we begin encouraging people to pursue STEM, we're also discouraging the pursuit of the arts, stating that they have no relevance to each other. But I'm here to say that art is just as important as STEM into our evolving society, whether we know it or not, because art is heavily integrated into STEM and into our daily lives. As we all know, STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Many Americans believe that these fields are the key to inspiring and innovating people throughout this world, and plus they create new jobs in the United States. But what people don't know is how art is there. On the sidelines, maybe, but it's still there, cheering the STEM fields on. One of the best examples of someone who utilized the STEM fields in their artistic passion is Leonardo Da Vinci. He was a polymorphic genius from the Italian Renaissance. He's mainly known for his skills in painting, but he did so much more than that. He was a scientist, a mathematician, an engineer, and an inventor. What makes Da Vinci so special is that he was self-taught, which makes him a minority in the art world. But what makes him even more of a minority was that he was gay. But that didn't stop him. He took his creative passion and looked at the world in brand new perspectives. He was the first to add the atmospheric perspective, which is that hazy blue in the distance. He utilized the golden ratio on the Mona Lisa, which mathematically provides the perfect body proportions in art and makes it more aesthetically pleasing. He invented things that he couldn't build at the time due to the lack of technology. I mean, who's gone scuba diving? Well, you can thank this man for inventing such a garment. Both artists and scientists utilized the scuba gear, either to take photographs for an artistic project or to study the effects of climate change, which, look around people, it's a real thing. But let's step away from the scuba gear topic real quick, because that gets into a whole other topic. Believe it or not, the connections between STEM and art fields can be seen in our everyday lives, not just in inventions. For example, with the first photo of the black hole that the American computer scientist Catherine Louise Bowman captured with her special algorithm. As a child, I always thought scientists already had photos of black holes, such as these. This image of the black hole is from the movie Interstellar, one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time. When I heard that Bowman and her team took the first photo of the black hole on April 10th, I thought, what? But NASA already has so many photos. But then I realized it was an artist who created renditions of them. Various scientists and companies, especially NASA, would hire different artists, such as Charles Bittinger, to create a visual representation for them so that they had an idea of what they were studying. From the first look on the moon to a foreign planet, the artists drew it all. Utilizing the STEM fields, they used science and the laws of physics to understand what those objects ought to look like. That's why the real photo of the black hole is so very similar to an artist's rendition of one. But don't think that art is only relevant in STEM. The art fields are perfectly capable of being inspirational and impactful on their own. As I stated before, both artists and scientists utilize scuba gear for different reasons. But one thing that connects is their purpose to spread awareness. Art is especially good at that because we as humans are very attracted to emotion. Artists don't necessarily just use scuba gear to take photos of the ocean just for their artistic project, but to also bring awareness, showing the effects of climate change and how it's affecting our world. The documentary Our Planet on Netflix does just that. The scenery is beautiful and allows people to feel attached, inspiring us to visit these areas and thanking the earth for everything that it provides us. But they also photograph the effects of us, human beings living on this planet. They show images of the bleached corals and the depths of multiple walruses because they have no ice to lay on, so they have to climb unsafe cliffs. I mean, this is smart because the crew knows that art makes more of an impact than the general statistics. Many people don't understand the math behind how we, as the human race, are slowly killing our planet. But if artists make stories and show images, then it gets the message across and allows people to understand the direness of the situation. But art isn't just used to talk about climate change, but also politics. I mean, we've all seen some form of propaganda, right? This is called the Augustus of Prima Porta. This is one of the artworks we have to study in AP Art History, and for good reason. The sculpture is unknown, it's made of marble, and it's from Imperial Rome. And that little baby, it's Cupid. It seems pretty random, but guess what? It was their form of propaganda. This sculpture represented Augustus as an almighty ruler, one who was young and very attractive. The baby Cupid, that represents his divine lineage, and that means that he ruled besides gods. I mean, today we don't necessarily make such large, elaborate sculptures for propaganda, like this one, but it's still propaganda. It's still art. And as technology evolves, we utilize that modern connection to implement more political statements into our everyday lives. I bought this poster in Belgium a few Christmases ago, and it just hangs in my room. It says, "Make art, not war." As I researched more into it, I found out that it was designed by Shepard Fairey, an American artist who is known for his activist-type artworks. It's not as elaborate as the Augustus of Prima Porta, but this isn't just words on a poster. It's a statement, a message that we often neglect. It's his form of propaganda, and it's a more modern approach. But nonetheless, it still gets the job done. And guess what? It's art, no matter what format, what media, acrylic, music, cartoons, or graffiti. Propaganda is art, no matter how it evolves. So how can we get people to understand these connections of art? Well, have any of y'all heard of STEAM? You know, STEAM is sort of an odd concept to me because it exists, but not in the same way that STEM does. STEAM, for the ones that don't know, stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Mathematics. The STEAM idea began to float around in 2006 by a teacher named Georgette Yackman. She began advocating and created the STEAM educational framework that implemented the idea of STEAM into the grades pre-K and 12. This is good because she has made great strides, and many of us have begun utilizing her work and the idea of STEAM. However, instead of creating STEAM from STEM, people took STEAM and made it completely separate from STEM. For example, when I researched NASA STEM, so many things come up. I had to take 2 screenshots to get all that came up on the first page. But when I researched NASA STEAM, really only 2 useful sources came up, and they don't provide much information. This then develops this other bias that art cannot get integrated into STEM or be considered important without completely changing the ideas of the other fields. I mean, maybe it's just taking a while for it to gain momentum, like STEM did during the tech boom in the late 1990s. But we need to start getting into people's heads that art is not just a painting on a wall. It's a statement on our dying planet. It is not an idea on paper, it's a political movement advocating for change. How can we make people see that art is important? Honestly, all we can do is bring awareness, whether it be through more speeches like this one, more articles, posters, videos, even museum exhibitions. Keeping art in our lives and connecting them to bigger ideas is as vital as the other aspects in life. Because as technology becomes more advanced, and as we begin to make new discoveries, we are going to have to be as creative as possible. But how can we if we are continuously told that art is useless? Let's just get the word out there, because as Neil deGrasse Tyson once said, an enlightened society has all of this going on within it. It's part of what distinguishes what it is to be human from other life forms on Earth, that we have culture. Thank you.